NIO with 3,300 insurance registrations for the week of January 22nd through the 28th. I've got the chart pulled up so you can see the breakdown on the right-hand side of the models. The ES6 continues to be the best seller. There are two ET5 models making up approximately the same number of units as the ES6. This is actually consistent with what William Lee had said his expectations would be, that these would be the best-selling vehicles, followed by the EC6, which is also still consistently in at least the last few weeks in the number 4 spot. So with that, over here on the left side, kind of the baseline, as I've been hoping to see it, is this 3,000 number. At least we're back over that for the month. And fun fact, I actually want to point something out. I was curious about this, so I pulled up last year's numbers. This is the majority of the month, and it's an approximation. It's put out by Li Auto. Sometimes they're wrong. They tend to shorten on these numbers, but let's just say through most of January in 2024, NIO is sitting at about 10,000 for their delivery numbers. If we look back at last year, the January numbers from 2023, NIO with 8,506 vehicles. So already, even before the end of the month, with better numbers relative and compared to that. But there's actually something else I want to kind of highlight and point out here. This Aido on the top, this is Huawei. Now, this is a smartphone maker from China. I was very curious how Xiaomi and Huawei, the smartphone makers who compete with Apple in China, how they would do and how their cars would be received. Obviously, they're selling. And so there are kind of two thoughts with this. One is, I hope we see NIO ramp on the deliveries this year in 2024. Now, NIO has BEVs, pure battery electric vehicles, and the swappable play is a difference maker. I do think that plays out in the longer term, but in the shorter term, I'd like to see NIO take more of the pure battery electric vehicle segment in China. And then abroad, and kind of the bigger picture with Apple, for example, if Apple ends up doing a car, it sounds like it's still quite a few years out, which I'm happy about. I think NIO is building the best and kind of the most complete ecosystem for users. And I think that will help them. But obviously, the smartphone makers are being well received as they're coming into the market. So I'm glad Apple is a ways off. What am I concerned about? I won't say concerned, but I'm keeping an eye on this. And I liked this comment because this isn't the first time I've heard it, but I've kind of been thinking it and wondering about it myself. The current S&P 500 rally is far more similar to dot-com bubble than people think. And so that's just something in the back of my mind. I'm very curious if, for example, this year of 2024, let's say we get some crazy volatility in the US stock market with the S&P 500. And at the same time, while this has been pumping and going up and up and up, and new highs for the S&P 500, the Chinese stocks have been decimated, absolutely crushed. So what happens there? Does the money actually end up cycling back over to Chinese stocks? That's one of the things I'm just really curious about. Could the Chinese stocks go lower? Of course they could. And so, this year is going to be really interesting, I think, in a lot of different ways. It, of course, is also an election year here in the United States. On the bottom of this video, I've got the ticker running. No comments on this video, but please click the thumbs up or thumbs down. And we're just using me as a little market research. I want to see what the YouTube algorithm does with this. If people are clicking the thumbs up or thumbs down, and if we get a lot more of one or the other, if anything changes with the video being pushed out more or less. I'm just curious about that. And also, I do want to offer this kind of as a disclaimer. I have started to crack down a little bit more on the negative comments. If I see somebody who's continuously and just recurring with their negativity, I'm just kind of tired of that. I'm kind of over that. I had told folks, and I plan to continue to do the channel until we see profitability and or new all-time highs for NIO. But it's the time kind of being taken up by those negative comments, I think, is unnecessary. It's unwarranted on my part, and then others who are coming through the video to see or read. And also, I still need to get the comment and response video out for the NIO short war video, where I'm going to highlight other people's comments and then respond to them. And that's probably going to be a long one. So with that in mind, get over to that video if you haven't seen it and drop a comment, and then I'll get to it when I can. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see y'all again very soon.